Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Everything you need to know in the news and numbers in NFTs every single day. Going to talk about Ordinals today, just some project completely popping off there. But first, let's talk about the ETH ecosystem. Volumes were down a fair bit. I think this is a good thing. As I said yesterday, earlier this week, we had the highest percentage we've ever had of trades which were sellers dumping into bids on Blur. Okay, so when all the volume is people dumping mutant apes and bored apes into bids, seeing lower volume probably is a good thing. If you look at market share, you can see 75% was with Blur, not a whole lot new there. Unique buyers basically flat over the past few days, down a little bit from earlier this week, but still decent, still on a bit of an uptrend versus where we were about 2 months ago. Large cap index down 1.5%, a little bit of strength in DGODs, kind of moved up to the mid nines while there was weakness in captains and Coda. Mid-cap index down a small bit, largely because there was weakness in Opepen and VV checks. Let's dive a little bit more into Opepen. You can see here starting to taper off a little bit from the huge rally that we've had, but there was an announcement from Jack Butcher this morning. He's wearing the punk. Forgot to say, it's June 9th. This is the birthday of punks. So Jack Butcher has his PFP as the punk in honor of that. But he said 006/9. What this means is that the art number 6 is going to be coming soon. So we will see what comes of that. The Proof Collective, our very own Proof Collective, passes had a nice little rally up to about an 8 ETH floor. Clearly down a fair bit over the past few months, but nice to see a little rally there. What was that about? Proof announced yesterday that Proof is going to be collaborating with Botto project. We've talked about Botto project before. It's a DAO that creates a bunch of AI art. Pretty interesting stuff. We don't know a whole lot about this partnership, and I actually don't know either. I'm not as focused on that side of the business, but they did say that on Monday there will be a Spaces with Alex, one of our community managers, where they will go into more details about what this partnership is, or what this collab is. In terms of trade returns, one thing that's happened recently is that the trading P&L, I always look at what's the profit and loss of people who are flipping NFTs, have been really restrained, between the plus 100 and minus 100 ETH range for the entire world of people who are trading ETH NFTs. It's been down a little bit for the past 3 days, though. I think that we've seen kind of bored apes and mutant apes taper down, and that's where a lot of the volume has been. One other thing I did want to focus on, and I've talked about this yesterday, but the Blend wallet, if people sell NFTs that they have on leverage, so if I own an NFT and then take out a 1 ETH loan against it and sell it, that's going to be sold from the Blend wallet. Those trades are zero royalty. So what we have seen kind of basically since Blend launched, but really over the past month, also for other reasons like, Artblocks has had less volume and other things like that, but we've seen total weekly royalties paid across the entire ETH ecosystem go below 1,000 ETH, really for the first time in about 2 years. So that's something that is kind of going on behind the scenes right now. In terms of art projects, there was a big Fidenza sale. We'll show you that, a couple Chromie Squiggle sales, and then just a couple other projects that did more than 5 ETH of volume. Having a look here, this Fidenza on the left, 70 ETH sale. The floor now is 75 ETH. So this was basically the one on the floor. Pretty cool looking Fidenza though. There's a Chromie Squiggle that sold for 12.1 ETH. Really kind of interesting blue colors to that. A Genesis by Claire Silver sold for 7 ETH. She had a couple sales a little higher recently, but still nice sale for her. And then a Meridian sold for 9.9 ETH. This really is kind of one of the higher Meridian sales that we've seen in a long time. So, and 20% above the floor. So love to see that. Looking quickly at this Fidenza chart, the floor price got down to about 50 ETH. We've had some pretty regular sales ever since that big Sotheby's sale, and now the floor is up to about 75 following that 70 ETH sale yesterday. Second story to talk about is Ordinals. Ordinals are just kind of, there's so much to talk about with Ordinals. There's so much going on. I wanted to highlight Ordinal Maxi Biz, OMB, where the floor hit 4 Bitcoin, 59 ETH, higher floor than Punks and Bored Apes. Very different because it has less than 200 NFTs in the project, but still just wanted to dive in there because that's something that's happening in the ecosystem. But also seeing Bitcoin DGODs completely break out. We've had 2 sales in the past 24 hours, which were for more than 1.5 Bitcoin. That's 22 ETH and 21.6 ETH respectively. This is more than 2 times the floor of the ETH traded DGODs. And I think it's not too surprising. They're only about 500 Bitcoin DeGods, they're 950 on ETH. So people who hold those other ones, maybe they want to hold a Bitcoin too. And if you do, there's a supply demand problem. When you have a supply demand problem, you see prices go up. And that's definitely what we've seen on Bitcoin DeGods, I mean. The other one I wanted to talk about is OMB, Ordinal's Maxi Biz, which has just been completely on fire. 3 days ago, you had two massive sales, one at 1.3 at 3.2 Bitcoin. These are 43 and 46 ETH trades. Again, the floor right now is at 4 Bitcoin, which is 59 ETH. So really just kind of taking off. Here's a picture of all the ones that are on the floor. And you can see here, it's 4.08, 4.09. That's where the floor is. A little bit about this project. There are currently 191 supply. Okay, so it's very low, very hard to compare this really with Bored Ape Yacht Club and with CryptoPunks. There are two different types, and you can see in the image I show you. Some of them have blue eyes, and some of them have red eyes. The red eyes were the very first ones in the collection, and the blue eyes were part of Block 78, which was a block on Bitcoin that was created in early 2009. They were added later to the collection, but from that very early block. So that's why you see those two, and they're really kind of trade around the same prices. The other very interesting thing that is happening, though, and that is happening kind of as we speak, and it's been going on just over the past week, is that there are new green eyes OMBs that are currently being minted or that were just minted, and they were minted on Block 9, one of the blocks that was mined by Satoshi, one of the original 10 blocks, so very historic block. This is kind of interesting to see. They have inscribed 1,000 green eye NFTs or ordinals, onto Block 9. So we will see what happens with them. I imagine they will get minted. I imagine that they will be available for the public, but we will see. It is still a bit of an unknown. Another thing about OMB is you have full IP ownership. There are no restrictions whatsoever. According to the way that ZK Shark and the team have tweeted about it, no royalties on the project. So really into this idea of what you buy, what you own is entirely yours. Having a quick look at this Block 9 situation, because this is quite recent. This is in the original 10 blocks that Satoshi sent to Hal Finney. Hal Finney basically sent those back out into the world after that, and they were kind of gone. Well, recently Nullish on Twitter, Nullish is a person who's very into the Ordinal ecosystem, found some of the sats that are on this block. And what he did was he started by making 9 inscriptions on them. They look like this, what you can see there. Those were made on May 26th. And after that, he worked with ZK Shark, and ZK Shark inscribed the next 1,000 OMBs on this 9th block. Okay, so let's have a look here. This is what they look like. You can see there are 1,009 on this 9th block, and these have the green eyes. Okay, so that is what's next, and we will see what happens there. But interesting stuff, cool stuff, new stuff. I'll talk about it more going forward because clearly there's a lot of action here, a lot of money going into this, and it's worth talking about. 2 other projects, just quickly to mention. We're also starting to see art on Bitcoin become a theme. 2 projects that are doing quite well. One is Abstraordinals. This is kind of, you can see here, it's a bunch of abstract art on the Bitcoin blockchain, and you have 100 ordinals in that collection, and that now has a 1 Bitcoin floor. And then on the right is Squirtinals. This is more recent, trying to do something that kind of is, or not kind of, very much is a play on Chromie Squiggles, putting them onto Bitcoin, and already they have a 0.25 Bitcoin floor. There are 256 of those. Here you can see the 4 on the floor. So very much look like Squiggles, a little bit of a difference, but figured I would throw in some information there. And then lastly, let's talk about a few notable sales. First notable sale was an Otherdeed. This was number 269, sold for 30 ETH. What made this one interesting, trading at a 30x premium to floor, it's in that center island. So it's the early top 300 Otherdeeds that are on that center island and tend to trade at a premium. You can see in the, number 6 is one of the top selling Otherdeeds of all time, sold for 269 ETH. Number 233 sold a little while ago for 129. More recently, clearly the prices are coming down just because the prices of Otherdeeds are coming down. Premiums for Grails are coming down, but one sold for 50 as well. But this one's selling at 30. Certainly to me is at the low end of the range for what that center island has sold for, but not surprising at all to see that. An Opepen here. This is one of one Opepens that gives you you're in the edition size 1. So you get a 1 of 1 in whatever you end up minting or whatever art you end up getting, sold for 10 ETH. That's at the low end of the recent range for where these edition size 1s have been selling. We've seen them sell more in like the 10 to 15 ETH range, so a little bit at the low end there. And then one of one piece I wanted to talk about, and I thought this was a really cool artist to learn about. This piece is called Flatboat 2022 by Julie Blackmon. And it's just a very cool image. Now, what she says is that she was inspired by this painting from 1845 by George Caleb Bingham called Jolly Flatboat Men, and really kind of took to that. She has grown up on the Missouri River, which is also where this painting was inspired. The river's shallow, so they have flat boats, which is what's in the image here. And she said she wanted to mix it up a little bit. And instead, she added her own tribe of characters that reflect a more current interpretation of our world today in terms of race and gender. The National Gallery of Art has acquired her piece to hang alongside the original painting, which is currently at the National Gallery of Art. So just very cool stuff that her piece is now hanging alongside this piece. She has a bunch of other images that are on Super Rare right now that have a 3.09 ETH reserve. You can see them clearly, that one on the left inspired as well by other work out there. And this one on the right called Metaverse, just a very cool piece with a kid with the VR glasses and a bunch of people from different backgrounds all hanging out in this house together. Just a little bit more about the artist. She is a native of Springfield, Missouri, and her photographs are inspired by her experience growing up and raising kids in what she calls a generic American town in the middle of the U.S. Someone talking about her work said that each frame is an absorbing, meticulously orchestrated slice of ethnographic theater that abounds with tender humor and also shrewdly subtle satire. Very cool stuff. On her Super Rare page, she links to an article about her work from 2014 in the New York Times showing her working with her sister. So I don't know, this was an artist I hadn't seen before, really enjoyed digging into. Very cool stuff there. Nice to see her in the NFT space. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, give us a like below. We mean that. We appreciate it. It always helps us out when you do that. Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. And also, have a great weekend. Hope you do. We'll be back on Monday with another show, and we'll talk to you then. Take care.